Hey everyone, Empire Universe back here. And today we're going to be doing a live stream, and not just any live stream. I'm going to be joined by UFC Welterweight Luque Cosce. I hope I'm going to say his name right. Well, we'll see. I'm going to have to ask him. We got him in the house here, so let's get him in here and let's add him to the stream here.
Hey,
Luque,
oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you, man.
Okay.
Perfect. How you doing, my brother?
Doing good, man. How about you?
I'm not too bad here in Ontario. At least it's we're just getting out of the stay-at-home order, so things are looking up here. Thank you.
Nice. That's awesome.
So I got to ask, how are things looking over at your end at the moment?
Everything's starting to open up over here in Cali, kind of. I was just up in Oregon, the southern part of Oregon, up in Grants Pass, and those guys were completely almost open. It felt like.
That's all right. Yeah, because I know a lot of states they're kind of getting on board now. They're all starting to really open up everything and having the reopening, and now the mask mandates starting to not be really a thing, at least in Texas.
Yeah, Texas. I think Idaho. I think Nevada's even going back too. I don't know about the mask mandate, but I know the casinos and everything else are opening back up.
Yeah, it's crazy. At least for us Canadians, we're looking at you guys and we're like, oh, Americans are all back to normal. Everything's just like COVID was what, a year ago. Come on. But I mean, it must be kind of nice for not just everybody, but fighters as well. Now you're not just training; you're going home and being under lockdown. You're able to actually enjoy life. You can take your mind off the training at times.
Yeah, it's pretty small from where I come from. Orion's in a bigger area, like down there in Sacramento. That place is a lot bigger than up here where I'm at. My gym's already pretty small anyway, so it didn't really affect too much other than the members itself, I was still going in there because I have a key to the gym and whatnot, but for the bigger gyms, I imagine it was affecting them pretty big.
Okay, fair enough. Now, whereabouts are you residing at the moment?
Humboldt County. It's
Humboldt County. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's whereabouts is that anyway? I'm not savvy at all when it comes to geography.
We're an hour 15 minutes south of Oregon. We're right on the coast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet, man. Now I know that from an interview that James Lynch did with Chris Cyborg, she just came off a big win over Leslie Smith last weekend, I believe, or the weekend before. Now I can't remember exactly from word for word, but he mentioned something about Bellator possibly having fans back in the stands. So from that happening, do you feel like UFC's kind of at that point where maybe the fight nights now they can start to have fans back with all the safety?
I think so. I think I knew Vegas was trying to hold off on it, but then just 2 weeks ago, Dana White posted it that they're going full-fledged back into it. So I imagine they're gonna start doing it just to make their money back.
Well, and it's kind of weird because, we're having all these pay-per-views now. I mean, they started off in Jacksonville, and now they're going to be doing their next one in Houston. Or, sorry, they had the one in Houston, and now the next one, I think, is still in Arizona. Yeah. I know you know more than I do here. So that being said, I mean, it's kind of weird that they have all these pay-per-views and they have the fans, but then the fight nights, you're going back to a little octagon in the Apex Center. So you got to think that they want to stay on board now with all the fans.
Yeah, I would imagine so, just to make your money. There's too much money in it, not to make it at the Apex wouldn't really make sense. I would imagine that for Dana White's Contender Series and the Ultimate Fighter,
Are you kind of surprised at the fact that the UFC didn't make it they didn't prioritize the fighters and not getting the vaccines?
I'm not so sure. I haven't talked to anybody about the vaccine. Someone was to ask me about it the other day if I had to get one, but I was like, I don't got a fight coming up anytime soon, so I don't think so. I know they would have to get them for the show, The Ultimate Fighter, I'm pretty sure. But for the fights, I don't think it's mandatory, but I'm not positive on that, to be honest.
Okay. And I don't think it really should be. I mean, like at the end of the day, you're human. It should be your human right to get the vaccine if you choose to. You know,
Yeah.
because we're gonna get to the point where if you get sick, you get sick, and that's your, that's
Yeah.
your choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, moving on. So, I got a chance to speak with your brother last week. It was a pleasure having him on here. And Orion kind of talked a little bit about your upbringing, how you guys both kind of got into the MMA scene. Was fighting always an option on your plate, or did you have other dreams growing up?
No, to be honest, this is what I wanted to do. I have no idea why. I remember telling some people when I was a kid and they got tripped up by it, but nowadays, shit, they're all congratulating me about it. So,
Okay. Well, I know that we're about around the same age, and at least me growing up as a teenager, I started really watching the UFC, all Bellator, a lot of these organizations. Was that always something that was always on your mind? Were you watching that as a kid?
I actually started off watching Pride. I was a little kid
Okay.
watching it with my dad. We went up to our buddy's house, and I was a little kid watching it and watching guys like Vanderlei Silva and shit, Shogun Rua, Takanori Gomi, those guys. And then for whatever reason, I wanted to do it. The main reason I wanted to do it is because I watched Dragon Ball Z when I was younger, so I was all about it. The whole fighting scene. My dad had me wrestling. He had his boxing and stuff. So I didn't know if I was actually gonna do it. I didn't know. Like looking at it as a kid, you don't know about bills and shit like that, having a family and stuff like that later on in life. But thank God I'm here. So
It's kind of like watching those action movies. Like you want to be that guy doing all the moves, and you want to be that guy, but you don't understand the cost of having to do those things.
yeah, yeah, it gets a little bit
I
different when
mean,
you're doing everything yourself.
exactly. Of course. And watching like Pride and all these guys getting foot stomped and all that, like what's going through
Yeah.
your mind? Do you know, like, yeah, that's what I want to do? Like,
I think it's easier said than done. I mean, I definitely don't want to get fucking soccer kicked to my head. That's for sure. I'd rather be the one doing it. But yeah, at the time, I don't know. I think being a little kid, you don't realize how bad it is, But realistically, it's fucking life and death out there sometimes. So now looking at it as an adult, it's a lot more serious.
of course, of course. And I'm kind of glad to see that, the art of MMA, the sport of MMA, it's now becoming more of a taking care of yourself approach, because I feel like back in the day a lot of fighters just wanted to go in and scrap, and they just wanted to put on that show for fans, which is great, but at the same time it's not always a good thing, because you're talking about brain damage, you're talking about your
Yeah.
longevity, which I do want to cover later.
Okay.
But now we're really looking at the long-term effects. So if you want to get into the sport now, a lot of fighters are now talking about what can I do to protect myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. Shit, that one guy. What's his name? Flyweight Ian McCall. Shit, even Mike Tyson were talking about psychedelics and stuff, how they helped him out. So I don't know if the UFC is looking into it or any other combat sports, but I guess it's helping those guys out quite a bit. The brain
Well,
stuff.
Well, it's crazy because I mean they started just allowing marijuana. I think I'm
Yeah.
not sure in terms of the UFC, but I know in one of the commissions, I believe.
Uh, well, every commission has their own, like, kind of their own law with it. Like, I know in Nevada you can still get in trouble. It's just USADA. So if you, for like 2 months before the fight, if USADA come piss test you, if they found it in your system beforehand, you'd probably get in trouble. But now it's nothing. It says you can't have it in your system the night of the fight.
Well, it's crazy because if you look back, you remember the fight. It was Nick Diaz and Anderson Silva, and this is back when marijuana was not, it was a no-no. And I
Yeah.
remember Nick Diaz got caught for marijuana in his system and got like 2 years, but Anderson Silva had, I think, some kind of PEDs and only got a slap on the wrist. It's
Yeah.
crazy how far the sport and the rules have come now.
Yeah. And man, growing up in NorCal, it's completely different. I know a lot of places. My buddies from Chicago. I know a couple buddies from a couple different places, but marijuana in NorCal is kind of like a culture around here. My dad grew up like growing it when it was illegal. Like I know a lot of people that were growing it illegally, and nowadays they're fucking doing pretty good off of it. Honestly, making pretty good money, paying the state. But yeah, around here in Humboldt County, it's a culture, dude.
Well, it certainly is here in Canada. They legalized it all in Canada back in 2018, and it's crazy how much the government's making money off of it. So, if all the states could get on board and understand how much they could dip their money and get their last licks in, like I think that they should be legalizing it everywhere. But
that's all it is too. I mean, the states they just want their money. That's all it is.
Oh, absolutely, and that's exactly the whole game plan there. Now, I think it was maybe last week. I looked on eBay, and there's been this trend. I don't know what it is, but people have been buying these UFC Prizm cards. I don't know if you've been looking into that, if you know about that at all.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so like obviously every sport has like your sports cards. I mean, I think every kid, at least every boy growing up, had sports cards if you were into sports. And UFC just came out with these new Prizm cards. Prizm, it's Prizm, but spelled with a Z. And I guess like they're really sharp looking, and some come with like the autographed. I mean, no different than you got your NFL, basketball, et cetera, et cetera. But they're really expensive. I think that people are buying them and they're reselling. I'm not sure if that's what's going on. But anywho, I wasn't sure if you knew about that or not.
Huh? I didn't know about that.
Okay.
They must have started, huh?
Yeah. I guess. Yeah. I think they just started coming out with them, and like I think they're fairly new. I think they probably came out in the last year, so they're probably not known very well. But I know Pole Kings have done quite a few things with Colby Covington, a couple other fighters. So I think they're really trying to break out and really put UFC on the map in terms of trading cards.
Okay.
But that being said, were you ever like a kid growing up, ever collecting cards? Was that ever a thing for you?
No, it wasn't. Action figures weren't like my type of shit.
No.
Just playing action figures, playing outside and stuff. I don't really care for the cards, honestly. I know a lot of kids did, but yeah, I never really cared for it.
Will that ever be something like if UFC came up to you and said, "Hey, we're gonna be putting you on the cards"? Would you care? Would you be like, "Okay, whatever," or like?
Hell yeah, that'd be cool.
Would that be kind of like? I feel like that's always like a kid's dream come true to have your own trading card and have your face on it, your name, your stats, everything.
Yeah, I think for a professional athlete, that's pretty huge, because a lot of these guys start as nobodies when they're kids. Even all through high school, you never really know if you're going to make it or not. But if you make it that far, that's pretty impressive.
Of course. Now, your nickname, Monster, did you give yourself that nickname or did someone else give it to you?
Someone else gave it to me.
And can you kind of elaborate on that? How that all happened?
Pretty much. I didn't want a nickname, to be honest. I was just going to run with Luque Cosce. And then my coach was pretty much telling me I need a nickname, blah, blah. Right before Combate, it was my first nationally television fight. We pretty much just put the Monster, and he's just like, this is why I just tell everybody who you are, like when I'm describing the fucking kid, and he's just a monster out there. So I was like, all right, I'll use it as a nickname then. Slapped it out there. But I was trying to think of plenty of nicknames, man. I could not think of one. So I just ran with Luque Cosce there for a while.
Well, I mean, Monster fits your profile for sure. I mean, your resume speaks for itself. I mean, your first 6 wins were all first round finishes and stuff. So, I mean, that being said, when you were going into the Contender series, when you were going into your debut, were you expecting to have the sport give you that hype?
No, not really. Yeah, I really didn't expect that, I was just, my manager told me he could slap me on the card. And then he told me that he's going to be able to get my brother on the card, and that was it. So I didn't really expect him to do, like, the whole promoting stuff. I knew we were going to do our interviews and stuff like that. And they kind of asked about our upbringing, so I just kind of told them about it. And they were just like, can you say more about it? Do you feel comfortable? I was like, yeah, I'll tell you a little bit more. So I ended up telling a little bit more about it. But, yeah, for all the promoting stuff, I had no idea. It's easy to fight like that for me, man.
That's all right. And I guess like sometimes fighters get criticized for having like slow starts, but that's not the case for you. Like you're always getting those quick finishes. Is that always been obviously every fighter wants to finish the fight, but has that always been a game plan for you? Finish the fight as fast as you can, or is that just your skills speaking for itself?
I don't know. I remember being a kid when I first started. I was like, I had anxiety really bad when I first got out there. And it wasn't just the fight. I've competed my whole entire life. There's a couple times I fought in the street, and there's like wrestling my whole entire life. I like competing. I don't really give a shit for the whole street fighting stuff. I don't promote that. But I had anxiety really bad when I first started, and it wasn't for the whole competing part. I wanted to compete. I wanted to do it. It was just all those people watching. And I was like, oh shit, all these eyes are gonna be like right on you, So that kind of gave me anxiety a little bit. And then when I first started off, I started off these like little burner rounds, and I fought 3 times in one night. And you're supposed to pretty much you have to win that round in order to win the fight. So I was like, fuck, if I just go out there and finish these guys, I fucking won't have to deal with that. Yeah, and I ended up just knocking everybody out that night with under a minute. So it kind of started becoming like a habit, and then it's kind of like a bad habit, because you want to get that experience in there. So I think I should have took more time, honestly, like earlier in my career. But it got me here. It got me to the big league. So I don't know. I'll have to learn now.
Of course. Now, that being said, you mentioned that you and your brother Orion got put on the Contender series together. That being said, did it ever give you, like, knowing that you're going to be fighting the same night as your brother, did that give you any mental fight at all? Did that ever give you any second thoughts?
No, I've competed with Orion my whole entire life, so I knew we had to go out there and win. That was for damn sure. You can't just one just can't win. That wasn't the way it's gonna go. We both had to win, so I knew that was on my shoulders. But the older I get, the more I train, man, the more confident I'm getting. So even my last fight doesn't really bother me. I don't really give a shit. It's just mainly times,
Well, I mean, speaking to you here, you obviously believe in your skills. You're confident. But again, the fact that you and your brother won on the same night, how special was that moment?
It was
and huge. Both getting the contract.
Yeah, for our competitive careers, it was definitely the biggest moment of our lives. That's for sure. It's fuck it, lined us with our dream job practically. We're here to fucking make our name now. I remember growing up watching this shit. So to be able to do it on the same night, and then I think they said we're the first brothers to ever win contracts on that show too. So I thought that was pretty cool. And the fact that we both won with finishes was pretty neat. I honestly thought they were gonna make him the main event because the guy who was fighting, they talked that guy up pretty big too, that Matt Dixon. So I seen Victor though. He's a tough guy. I watched him his fight on Contender series before. He was a tough dude.
Well, and that's what your brother mentioned was he said that was one of his tougher fights, and I mean the fact that he was able to stop a guy like him. I mean, he said that just goes to show. I mean, that's where I'm at, and I feel like the Contender series sometimes fighters get some of those fights that they pick an easier fight just to kind of show, hey, I'm here, and they get in the UFC and they have trouble, but not for you and your brother. You guys have had some tough competition. So, I mean, I think that really shows where you guys stand.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Orion's the more polished fighter for sure. He's had some tougher opponents than me. He's gotten those long distance rounds, so he's more experienced, That was my first fight ever. My last fight to ever make it to the third round. So I remember just tired of shit. I just pushed it way too hard that first round. It's hard to even recover.
For sure. And that brings me into your UFC debut with Sasha. I mean, obviously the fight didn't go the way you wanted to. I mean, you had him hurt. You had him this was almost a fight that was going to end. But, he made that comeback and came back. So I got to ask, because you're the one fighting, I'm the one watching. Was it just a fatigue that came in, or was there something else going on, like injury prone? What was going on there?
I mean, I did have injury. I did get injured for sure, but I am having surgery a week later. I just got done with another surgery just a month ago.
Okay.
But I'm not going to post on that, man, because
for sure,
take away that guy's win,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get my ass kicked. That's just the name of the game. And just if you look at the statistics, I lost. Doesn't matter what happened. I'm just more pissed at myself for I didn't find a way to win. You know, it doesn't matter if I was injured or not, or tired or not. I still felt like I still had some clarity in there. I just remember being fucking dog shit tired, man. I remember going back there thinking my plan was to knock him out, and I wanted to hop on that McGregor card. So I think I just kind of rushed things. Honestly, I was just on the gas pedal. I knew if I knocked this guy out, I was gonna look good, and then get my name out there even more. And fuck, I was pretty close. I mean, if I had one more good punch on him, I fucking felt like I would have put his lights out. But he's a tough guy, and he fucking came back, started whooping my ass.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad it happened though, man. Fucking, just honestly, I get to look back and experience things as like just kind of growth, you know. You can't knock them all out in the first round, or can't knock them out all in the first minute, even though I fucking came pretty damn close. It just makes me like just slow down the gas pedal, pick my shots, and be more seasoned out there. Just being in a rush, fucking, it's hard to recover too. It's a different feeling. I remember when they were announcing my name, I was getting tripped out by that. That's the only stargazing moment I had. The walkout there wasn't that bad. It's easy to start getting it when the fucking you guys touch gloves or they throw the first punch at you, whatever. Because after that, it's just like kind of do or die. But when Bruce Buffer was announcing my name, and you can fucking see DC Joe Rogan talking right there in the corner, that tripped me out. I was like, holy shit. But
it's almost a very surreal moment. Like, I mean, knowing that,
yeah.
oh shit, I'm here.
Yeah, Dana White's Contender Series. It felt pretty cool. It wasn't like too surreal. I fought like a national televised before. It was pretty cool when the cameras are lighting on you. What people don't see, like, is all the people that are working, you know? Because all these people are fucking watching you when you're walking out. So you fucking have all these eyes on you. And it's super fucking quiet. So you're going out there to fucking, these guys just watching you to get it on. So I was like, all right, whatever. But this one was a little bit different because you have the announcers over there talking about the fight, talking about you, talking about your opponent, saying things like that. And that was tripping me out because it's like, oh shit, they're fucking Joe Rogan. I watch this guy's show, podcast, watch this guy growing up, this and that. Remember that motherfucker on Fear Factor. So it's pretty cool though. But overall,
for sure,
it's badass. It's just surreal being out there, growing up, watching the place, and then I'm glad at the way things that happen. It's like I would never learn my lesson. If I went out there and knocked that guy out, it would have been some fucking time down the line. I would have got my ass whooped, you know. So I would have learned my lesson eventually.
And I mean, that being said, are you kind of I don't want to say glad, but like, are you kind of fortunate that it happened now, that you had that time to work on that towards your into your UFC career?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's pretty obvious watching my fight how much I get better, you know. There's a lot of things like I thought my wrestling looked like shit. I honestly I don't think I fought that well, but that's why you live and learn. You go back and fix those mistakes. Obviously, my conditioning wasn't where I needed it to be. That was actually one of the first fights I actually lifted weights for too. So the UFC right after my Dana White Contender Series fight, I wasn't lifting weights or nothing like that. So it was the first fight I ever lifted weights for. They gave me a program, and I kind of stuck true to it. And I didn't stick as nearly as I should have, but I felt pretty good. That's the biggest I've ever got. And strength-wise and athleticism, I felt really fucking good. It's just maybe I should put more road work in or did more incline running, you know. I do a lot of sprints, and I fucking plenty of time in the gym. I think that's why it's like my performances are the way they are, you know. I'm sprinting. So it's like the sprints look good. It was just the longevity in there it didn't look good, you know. It was pretty clearly I was depleting as the minutes went on.
And now that being said, I mean, you know, talking about that fight, you haven't fought since November. I know you just discussed about some injuries, things going on, and getting your surgery and stuff. So what was obviously you didn't want to really disclose too much, but that being said, so what kind of time frame are you looking to come back at?
I'm hoping for the end of the year or early next year. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm doing physical therapy right now. I'll be getting stem cells done here in the next week or two down in Vegas, and that will help out quite a bit. But right now, it's just my right arm is feeling fucking amazing. I just had surgery on my left arm, and that one's healing faster than my right one did. So I don't know if it's because of stem cells or fucking what, but everything's going really good. I mean, the physical therapy is coming along great. I was actually rolling not too long ago, right before I had this surgery, and I felt stronger than I did before. So I'm just super excited and get back into training, honestly.
Is there like that bit of anxiousness to just get back and just want to fight and
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I just don't want it to bite me back in the ass, because the surgeries and stuff. If I rush it too fast, I'll just have another surgery, and I'm not really trying to do that. So it's like I'm anxious to get back out there just because Orion's fighting and watching all these fights and watching all these fucking guys out there. It's like, fuck, I could beat this guy, but I just don't want to bite myself in the ass trying to rush it. I felt like I did that with my last one. I know I wasn't supposed to fight that card. They were trying to push it back, and I was like, fuck, just get me on the card. I was just so stargazed by it, just like I wanted to get on there. So I'm just happy to be out there more than anything. It was a cool moment, but I definitely don't want nothing like that to happen again. I feel like I paid for that mistake. I don't want to rush things, I'd rather take my time, and when I'm ready to get back out there, I'll get back out there. And the same for training too. It's like I'm going fucking crazy, not training right now, like sparring or anything and all this other bullshit. But if I rush it, it's just gonna fuck myself over, and it's just so right now it's just learning to be patient. Patience is key.
for sure. And I mean, you just discussed about your brother having an upcoming fight. It really sucks because when I interviewed him, I was running out of time and I didn't get a chance to talk about his upcoming fight. So that being said, are you going to be cornering him in his fight?
Yeah, I will be. I'll be in this corner for sure.
So I gotta ask because there's other siblings that both fight in the UFC. You got Valentina and her sister Antonina. I mean, and they've cornered each other. So what's your key role? Are you just there as the support? What do you normally do for your brother?
No, I actually try to coach him through the fight. He does a pretty good job listening. Sometimes I notice that I'll lose it when he's like coming close to finishing the fight, like just from being excited. But the last fight I coached him and he's happy with it. I was telling him some stuff that fucking the other coaches weren't. So I think that's one thing. But I think also just having me be in his corner too helps him out quite a bit mentally, So
yeah, and I think it's good, and it's not just the coaching, but you have someone that you've grown up with your whole life. You got someone that knows you better than even probably the coaches know you. So having someone in there that can go in and just be there for you for the support too, I think just plays a key role as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that, honestly. Because some of your coaches you don't meet till later on in life, or not too many people have the coaches when they're from little kids. I know I don't. So.
And I think with a lot of the coaches, they can be the best coaches in the world. They can give you all the fight advice that they can give you, but they don't know you like you know your own sibling, and that's the key factor.
No, absolutely. Even if your coaches have never fought too, then they never really know what a real fight's like. If they never competed in MMA, it's hard. I think it's easier with me and Orion just because I'm doing it right here with him. I'm fighting. I actually started before Orion, so I've been doing this a little bit longer, but I think just having that experience, having someone in your corner that has that experience, that's had those ups and downs, that have had the highs and those, just knows what it feels like to fucking be out there. Cause it's a tiring moment. Sometimes getting cracked fucking hurts. And, I know it's different, it's a lot easier for fucking someone to sell the signs like, oh, I could have did this. You should have did that. Or fucking, why didn't you do that? It's like, well, shit, motherfucker. You don't know what it feels like being out there. It's not like I wanted to get punched in the head that many times on my last fight, man. I was like, fuck, for whatever fucking reason, I cannot keep my hands up. I was just like, move my fucking
head. Of course. I do want to go forward, but someone asked in this live stream, someone asked a question, and I'm just going to read it and I'll kind of interpret it. I was kind of listening to you when I was reading it at the same time, and I'm just going to interpret it the best I can. Ryan Spotgamer, he asks, can you all talk about the future of boxing / UFC or any sport alike being taken over by influencers, YouTubers, and where these sports will be in the next 3 to 5 years? I guess maybe what he's asking. I know there's that fight, Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
I think it's good for him, man. Tyron Woodley's about to make more money than he ever has in his life. And as for Jake Paul, I really don't fucking have anything against the guy. He's just trying to make money, The guy's pretty smart. Honestly, he uses YouTube channel. He has, I really don't know him or anything. I didn't even know him as a YouTube guy. I just started watching him because the whole fight and shit. I thought he was gonna knock out Ben Askren when they first announced it, bro. I remember laughing my ass off. I was just like, he's gonna knock this fucking guy out. Ben Askren has no hands. He's unathletic. Jake Paul's actually a pretty athletic kid, you know. So it's just
he's in incredible shape.
Yeah, so a lot of these guys, just because they think in the fucking UFC or whatever, they can't get beat up by these guys on the street. There's a lot of badasses on the street, man. I'm not saying Jake Paul is one of those badasses on the street, but there's a lot of fucking dudes that don't fight professionally that are fucking pretty badass. So to sit there and be like, oh, this guy's not that good. If I definitely wouldn't let Jake Paul fucking crack me, you know. So I'm not so sure, but I think it's good for them. They're fucking making $1 million. Who the hell? Who doesn't want to make that?
Well, exactly. If you look at his brother, Jake and Logan, I mean, if you look at Logan, I mean, he's fighting Floyd Mayweather. I mean, going through his mindset, he knows that, I mean, this is, you know, you're going against, one of the best boxers in the world. But he knows if I lose this fight, it's an exhibition, and I'm still going to make X amount of money. So what? If he knocks me out, okay, well, I'll wake up and I just made it like at least over $1 million. So I agree with you. It's a smart game plan. I don't know if I like the trend going on, because the problem is you have all these other YouTubers, influencers coming in thinking, I'm going to come in. And do you feel like that starts to turn boxing into more of a joke versus does it do good for the sport, or do you think it's becoming more of a joke?
I think it's making a joke. I think it's more personally good for those individuals, you know.
For sure.
For those guys making that money. It's like, I can't hate on a guy just trying to make a living, trying to do the same shit I'm trying to do. So it's like, just because they have more followers and shit like that, more people will tune in and watch them, I can't hate on that. But as for the sport, I think it's a fucking joke for sure. I think it sucks that more people are trying to watch that shit than other, like, really good boxers, you know. Like, nobody knows who the fuck Terrence Crawford is, and he's like on the pound for pound best boxer in the world right now, and that guy can't sell for shit. But this guy fucking getting a YouTube channel, Disney star, fucking, you have half the world tuning in to watch him just because of how much shit he's talking and what he's doing. I mean, fucking Logan Paul is 0-1, and he lost to another YouTuber going against the guy that's 50-0 who's fought 18 world champions. So I don't know, it's fucking crazy, dude. But money's money, so.
Yeah, exactly. Now, one thing, going back to the content I had for you. So, I had another guy on. I had another fighter on. His name's Morgan Oriahi, Fury UFC Welterweight, and we talked about. I opened up about having conversations with other fighters. We talked about how my idea was, you know, the weight cutting can sometimes cut your longevity in the process. And he brought up a really good thing about how age in the MMA fighting scene can be different. Like, he talked about how you can be an older guy, but you can be fighting at a younger, like, you can be fighting at a younger stage. Like, almost like how you can be like 45, but you can be fighting at like you're 35. Would you agree with that? Do you think taking care of your body can help with your longevity?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. What you eat is like who you are, you know? So they're only fucking finding out more stuff nowadays, too. Like, stem cells is like, because you get, man, just like even playing sports out of high school, that shit beats up your body, you know? It's like a lot of the bad habits. Sitting down too long fucks you up. So it's like all these new things that they're starting to discover with stem cells. I mean, eating good, finding the right diet for yourself, finding the right activity for yourself. Because doing MMA, man, the fight itself is easy, you know? I mean, you might get damaged up. I mean, it's life and death up there sometimes, because getting kicked in the fucking head could fuck you up. But it's all those hours you're spending time in the gym, you know, that's what's really putting the fucking years on you. Because you sometimes you go to war in the sparring. Sometimes you're having hard wrestling sessions, grappling sessions, fucking people yanking on your fucking ankles, your arms and shit like that. If you're too stubborn to tap, you fucking up your joints, you're tearing shit. So all that stuff starts to add up later on. And if you're not taking care of yourself and giving the rest that yourself, like your body needs, and really eating what you're supposed to be eating, and sleeping is key too. You're drinking enough water. If you're eating like shit, sleeping like shit, man, you're going to perform like shit, and you're going to fucking, your body's going to turn into shit. So yeah, longevity is it's based on what you do. I mean, Yoel Romero, that guy's a beast. And it's probably
43 years old.
Yeah.
43, 44. I mean, the guy's still hanging in there with those studs.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone fucking needs to be watching that guy, you know, like what he's doing.
Well, and it's interesting because if you look at Tony Ferguson and all the crazy shit he's done, I mean, you look at this guy and you think this guy's not human for the shit that he's done,
Yeah.
but you're starting to see that creep up on him. And granted, he's fought a lot of tough competition, and when you're up there and you're fighting the best of the best, you know, that's difficult. That being said, but you know, I mean, the stuff that he's kind of done, I feel like maybe that's finally caught up with him.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he just needs to give a break, you know? He fucking got beat the fuck up by Justin Gaethje, man. He kind of went right back out there a couple months later. It's you want to give yourself a break, man. Whenever you get cracked up too hard, get knocked out, or get into these wars, you want to give yourself a break. I know Nate Diaz does a pretty good job with that, you know? There's like before he fought Anthony Pettis, it was like a year and a half to 2 years before he fought.
So, yeah, I think that's what it was. It was about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and then he fought Anthony Pettis. And I think, look, a lot of people think, oh, he just got all that money. He doesn't want to fight. It's like, no, it's not that he doesn't want to fight. He understands that tissue damage that he's had over his eyebrow, he needs to make sure I don't want to get that cut open because, fuck, I don't want the fight stopped again.
Yeah, and when he was competing quite a bit, he was beating people up. He was getting beat up, and then he got knocked out. Then he took a break, and he was gone for a good while. Then he came back and beat up that Gray Maynard. Then he took another break. Then beat up Michael Johnson. I think a lot of these guys spend too much time, even I guess speaking for myself too, they're spending too much time and falling in love with like in the gym, you know, with the grappling, the sparring, because that shit's addicting. And it's just like maybe spend more time like fucking like hiking, lifting weights, try to build your athleticism. It's like because that all that stuff will build longevity, you know. You want to do stuff helping your body, like recovery. If you gotta fucking do yoga once a week, you gotta do yoga once a week. You gotta get those massages. You really just gotta give your body time to heal. Because if you're always in the gym just trying to fucking go to war, I mean, that shit catches up. You'll see it in the fights. These guys get knocked out, and they're probably wondering why. Like, man, I train my fucking ass off. I spar this much. I wrestle this much. I do all this other bullshit. And it's just the reason why is because they're getting into all these wars in the fucking gym. They're always going hard. They don't know how to slow down the gas pedal. So a lot of these guys, I mean, I know Dustin Poirier, he spends a lot of time doing strength and conditioning. A lot of these guys are starting to switch over with it. But yeah, I don't know, man. You definitely got to give yourself a break, though. That's for goddamn sure. It's kind of hard in the beginning because you don't make as good money as these guys on the top, you know. So these guys, when they start making a lot more money when they become champions, it's easier for them because they kind of have a say in what they do and all this. Some of the lower barrel guys like myself, and you have to like earn your name. So if you have to take these short notice fights to get your fucking name out there, that's what you got to do. You got to put your body through the fucking burner. It all pays off in the end. If you truly believe it, you put the work in, it all pays off, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, you got guys like Leon Edwards. I mean, your weight class, working his way. I mean, he worked his way up, and I mean, he's deserved it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the way to do it. Unfortunately, you get some guys like Khamzat Chimaev, which I mean, I'm not gonna, you know, I got nothing against the guy really, but the way the UFC set it up, he had 2 or 3 wins in the UFC and got a number 2 ranked guy. I don't think that's really right, but I'm not the matchmaker here, so
that's probably a good thing he didn't take that.
oh
fight.
My God.
But he got whooped. Leon Edwards would have fucking worked him. That guy's reached a whole new level, you know. You know, it's taking your time, picking the fights, and building that experience, man. Because it wasn't like Leon was a fucking beast right off the bat. You know, he had to go through like a burner. There's times he looked like shit. There's times he looked fucking fantastic. But now he really looks like a whole new fucking person out there.
Yeah, and he's definitely earned his spot as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Even Kamar, like you see all these guys growing, you know. Like Khabib was getting better and better and better before he retired. And Kamar Usman's just getting better and better and better. So it's just like a lot of these guys are just like the more they compete, the more they taking care of themselves and like whatever the fuck they're doing, strength and conditioning or whatever's happening, you know. You tell these guys are getting just better by each fight. So they're doing the right things.
100%, 100%. Now that being said, I just want a couple matchups for you before I let you go here. So you got Israel Adesanya and Marvin Vettori 2. I mean, the first fight was insane. Are we expecting the same result? Are we expecting a totally different fight?
I don't know. I think a lot of people are looking past Vettori, man. I don't think he's the cleanest fighter, but he's a good MMA fighter. He knows how to make it a dog fight. It's just like if he's winning the stand up, he'll stick it to the stand up. I don't think he'll be winning the fucking stand up with this one, but I'm sure he knows what he's got to do to make it ugly and try to get this to the ground. He also has Rafael Cordero in his corner, who's like one of the best fucking striking coaches on this planet.
Yeah.
It's like who Anderson Silva, Vanderlei Silva, Shogun, who all started off with. Like, also Kevin Gastelum did a really good job with fighting Israel Adesanya, and that's one of his other students. So I think Vettori will have a pretty good game plan, but Israel has so much experience in kickboxing, man. He's not really a guy you want to take too many chances with on the feet just because how much experience he has.
Well, and the guy, his fight IQ, and I've said this multiple times with other fighters, his fight IQ is just unreal.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, he fought Jan Blachowicz and lost, but I don't feel like that loss was really, like he didn't get his ass beat. I mean, it was just, the guy uses wrestling, and the guy's heavy.
Yeah.
And when you're not fighting someone that you're not used to having that kind of weight on you, it's difficult to win a fight that way. Granted, though, I mean, you look at, I don't think too many fights. The only fight I saw close with Israel was Gastelum, and I mean that was a great freaking fight. One of the best middleweight fights I'll ever see.
Yeah, and I think that had played a huge part with Rafael Cordero, and that guy is a fucking master at the stand-up. So I think they have a pretty good game plan for Vettori out there. I'm not saying that he can't get caught just because this game is like 4-ounce gloves and shit. Either man could get knocked out, that's for damn sure, but it'll be interesting to see, especially if it goes all 5 rounds. I think the longer it goes, I think Vettori can start. Just because it's harder it's obvious that he had a harder time defending takedowns in the later rounds, So if Vettori can get his VO2 max up, whatever he needs to do to make sure he thrives in those last 3 rounds, I can see him taking him down and laying on top of him. Might not be pretty, it might not be like the most exciting, but a win's a win. But at the same time, it's fucking good luck.
Exactly.
Badass.
Exactly. And then, I mean, you got a chance to fight on Figueiredo's card back in November. So you got Figgy and Moreno too. I mean, first fight, another fight that was just insane. I mean, are we expecting the same thing or are we expecting something totally different?
Shit. I don't know, man. And Moreno's obviously getting better. Figueiredo's pretty good. Honestly, thought Moreno could have pulled it off the last one if he would just did a little bit more. His little Mexican style with his boxing is fucking pretty good. It's pretty obvious that he's gotten a lot better since he started with the UFC. He got kicked out, then he got brought back in. He's definitely a lot better. His jiu-jitsu looked really good against Figueiredo.
Yeah.
So, noting that now, then I think he won the wrestling too. I want to say his wrestling was better that fight too. Really, the only thing that Figueiredo had was the power. So if he can get past that power, I think he's gonna whoop him.
And that's it. I mean, he has to. But the thing is he gonna be able to take the same shots? Because if people got to realize, like Figueiredo, he fought the month before. I mean, came up pretty unscathed, but the weight cutting for him, he has to take. It takes him a lot longer to do those weight cuts. Yeah, and I mean, he did it like a month after. So you got to think that plays a factor as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It does for sure. It's just interesting to see, because you can have the best camp of your whole entire life, bro, and go out there and perform like shit. And you can perform like shit your whole entire camp, and then that night of the fight, fucking perform the best you've ever had in your life. So
yeah,
it's hard to say, man. So it's just like, I know that was his excuse. He's like, oh, I've had a longer time to fucking cut weight and this and that. But I don't know. We'll see.
For sure. Lewis, it's been a pleasure having you on here. I appreciate you taking the time to come in here, talk about yourself, your career, and your upcoming fights that will happen in the future. We look forward to seeing you back in the cage, rest up, and hopefully we'll see you towards the end of the year, man.
Right on. Thank you, bro.
Thank you so much. You take care.
You too.
Well, guys, if you like that, please go to my YouTube channel, like and subscribe. Please share. It honestly helps quite a ton, and I appreciate it if you guys like that. I hope you did. And Lewis is a stud, and hopefully we'll see him at the end of the year. So Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.